if you look at those photos, not only is it the Saheeli Rai mirror, but they had the same jacket as well. So it was a mirror match there. Neither of them are wearing it here now, so the point's totally destroyed. But you looked at the lineup. You know, they're both from North Carolina. They're both under 20 years old. Apparently, Ali Antrazi actually is a tutor for Jeffrey Ashkin as well. He's one of his students. So,
wonder how much they play together.
Well, Dylan beat Ali earlier this tournament, so that doesn't, you know.
He can avenge his teacher.
Yeah, you could write a good movie off that sort of script.
Yeah, somebody could.
I don't think that's ever been run. I can't think of any movie or trope where someone defeats a teacher and then it's up to the disciple to win the match. I don't have one that
this is
fits.
some novel territory.
But I think it would make for a good story.
I'd like to see you try.
Donegan on the play here. He'll be mulliganing to 6.
And so this is, of course, a combo mirror. Both players have access to the Saheeli Felidar Guardian combo. But a lot of the games, at least a large percentage of the game, are about value and card advantage. Taking a mulligan, not ideal.
Yeah, I mean, and what we've seen about Dylan, the games that he's lost, game 1, for example, the semifinals, really did come down to him missing land drops here. So on a 6-card hand, especially with his kind of deck, that's a liability. Smiles on from Jeffrey. You see him placing the trophy now between the two players. One of them will be walking away with it. Dylan, yeah, looks.
He is thrilled with this 6.
He does have an anticipate. I would keep. Maybe there's not 2 lands. Is that the issue? It's like 1 land to anticipate.
1 land to anticipate is dicey.
A throw of the hand in the air. Hey, he keeps it on top. That's good though. If it's a 1 land to anticipate, I'm in. 2nd land. I don't really like land granting with my anticipates, but I'll take it. And that's going to be a start. Basic island from Donegan. Yeah, there's no 2nd land here. And the question is, if you have a land, but it enters the battlefield tapped, would you play it? Would you keep it? Say if it was Needle Spires on top. Would have you topped or bottom with Needle Spires?
I would have topped it.
But I'm not. I don't like it. I don't like it.
You would have to just.
You have to, but I don't like it. I'm upset. You know, that's my point.
If you're keeping this hand and scrying any land
any
from the
lands,
bottom,
any lands, yes.
I would delight in you losing your game.
No, it's got to be better. I'm gonna top deck the Inspiring Vantage.
That's what we call justice.
Vantage may be the ideal draw for him, to be fair.
Yeah, it gives him both of the other colors and access to this turn to anticipate.
It's going to be Implementive Combustion from Jeffrey Ashkin. You see Dylan going to give that one a read, so we will as well. 1-mana artifact. This one sits around to protect from the combo. If he sacrifices it for a red, he deals a damage to Dylan, or maybe to Dylan's Planeswalker, and then also draws him a card.
And here's Saheeli Rai. Given that Jeffrey already has the implement in play, he just needs to leave up 1 red mana in order to break up a potential combo that were in these early phases of the game. That's a significant tax until he starts getting some more mana sources into play.
And so Dylan, making the most of a rough situation, has managed to get 3 lands and the turn 3 Walker onto the board. And he's actually getting some advantage going right now. You see turn 3 for Ashkin is just Oath of Nissa.
And Donegan has Felidar Guardian in hand. He cannot go for the combo just yet. And you see his 4th land entering the battlefield tapped. He is leaving up a Disallow. Something that's amusing is once he gets to 6 mana, he can cast Guardian, untap a land, and then go for the combo. And when Jeffrey goes for Implement, he can disallow the trigger, the activation.
Ooh, I'm a fan of that.
Of course, disallow on Saheeli Rai, that one also makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Dylan's the only one who should be comboing here.
Yes.
Hold on. How did he cast Saheeli Rai? And you want to see something which I like here. So Jeffrey needs to hold up the implement, right? So you might notice he doesn't have 2 red sources. So how did he make Saheeli Rai? And it wouldn't have actually been possible if he wasn't playing Oath of Nissa in the deck. And he'll make the same play.
Yeah, that Oath of Nissa replaces itself and
Doing work.
gives you some nice mana fixing.
But if you were mentioning before, if Dylan has an untapped, if he has another land next turn, he actually gets to win, right?
Well, he
So
cast
he casts-
the one disallow already. He countered the
Oh,
first.
okay, he
Saheeli.
didn't have another
I
one.
don't know if he has another one.
Now we see Saheeli's on both sides. We've seen that a lot in these matchups. They just kind of keep each other at parity. Both players start to scry.
What Dylan does have is a Glimmer of Genius.
Oh, I always like that card in this matchup.
In any
In
matchup.
any matchup, that card just, yeah, that card's great. Ether Hub from Ashkin, and it'll be the end step Glimmer of Genius. So if Donegan draws land disallow, you're thinking we're set up for a win.
Yes, I'm also thinking that he has a Glimmer on the top of his deck, and that one's hard to pass.
Yeah. Another one of those is okay too. He just draws them both. All right, fair enough. Draws Harnessed Lightning and another Glimmer. Land for turn comes into play tapped, enter, and he will pass back to Ashkin. Ashkin will take a scry of his own. So I ask scry one. So this is the Sealy Rise, each one plussing, but then keep taking a loyalty off the other one. So net result, both players just get to scry one every turn.
And if you're wondering if Ashkin has any ways to interact with spells in the stack, no main deck counter spells, no spell quellers hanging out here.
Chandra Torch of Defiance from Ashkin, but because he has so few of these counter spells that you were like you mentioned, there's this problem that if he doesn't win quickly, eventually he's going to lose the counter war.
Mm-hmm.
You see he plays Chandra, pluses it for mana, makes Servant of the Conduit. That will bring Jeffrey Ashkin up to 3 loyalty.
Energy.
That as well.
If
Up to 3
he's-
energy.
if he's-
Chandra to 5 loyalty.
If he spends that, he does not have to concede the game.
You don't want to. You start the game with 20 loyalties, I think how it works, and when you run out, you leave the game. The player's going to decide to attack you to remove your loyalty. It's that's the technical part of how the rules work.
Yeah.
Because you are a planeswalker, this all adds up.
End step Glimmer for Donegan. Saw a second copy of Felidar Guardian, didn't want any of that. Also scribed an Oath of Jace to the bottom. Little mana inefficient.
Yeah, at this point he would like to find a disallow. That would make him able to win. Oh, has 2 more in the deck. That is his way to counter the implement. Negate in his hand. That's close, but not quite the spell he was looking for. He's double checking as we all are the implement. Can you hit creatures? No. The 2/1 double strike will attack at Chandra, so Ashkin will lose the Servant or the Chandra. Looks like he'll put the 2/2 into the yard.
And Dylan does have Harnessed Lightning in hand. If he wanted to connect with that Planeswalker guaranteed, he could have made that happen.
Yeah, I think he can. His concern is...
Doesn't want to get comboed.
Yeah, that's the one. Saheeli Rise in play. I can't think of anything bad that would happen.
Yeah, it's a gentle Planeswalker.
Yeah, and you might think he could remove the blocker and attack that Saheeli Rai, but then there'd be the issue of Chandra plus Jeffrey Ashkin's own Needle Spires would attack Dylan Donegan's Saheeli Rai off the board.
Not to mention that he could just cast both parts of the combo again.
Right, you can combo off an empty board with 6 mana. No big. That is true. So, 7th land from Ashkin. And now he'll go with a copy of Rogue Refiner. This is a card that's continued to impress in the 4-color Saheeli decks.
This card has a lot of power for a creature that replaces itself.
Two damage to Saheeli Rai knocks the Planeswalker down to 3. Another Rogue Refiner for Ashkin. He's going to go ahead and chain these ones off each other. Still leaves up that red mana for the implement. And this is that value game plan we've seen where the 4-color Saheeli deck can really do work.
We're still at a spot where disallow off the top is legal. And that looked an awful lot like a disallow.
I think that might have been a disallow. We will see it. It is there maybe negate, or is the disallow at the back? We'll see in a second. If it is, Donegan can take this game. It is Felidar Guardian. Yeah, he's going to go for the combo here. That is the disallow in his hand. So, Houseworks Guardian is going to come and enter the battlefield. If he targets Saheeli Rai, yeah, she will enter the battlefield again. -2 to copy the Felidar Guardian. Makes a copy of Felidar Guardian. The copy of Felidar Guardian will go ahead and target Saheeli Rai. Implement targets it, disallow, counters the trigger, and that's the infinite combo. Dylan Donegan is going to take game 1 with an army of 1/4s.
And that's kind of the weakness of the 4-color Saheeli deck in this matchup. They have some good, nice, low mana value plays, just no way to interact on the stack.
Well, and you see this a lot of times with players interacting with the combo. It's not, I mean, you can stop the fast combo. In fact, we've seen very few turn 4 wins. It's more that eventually, because they're a deck full of cards like disallow, negate, dispel, they push the combo through eventually because they're a control deck.
Yeah, exactly. The strength of the deck is that it's not just narrow-mindedly trying to combo. It's drawing a lot of extra cards. It's countering your spell. It's killing your creatures.
All right, Dylan Donegan and Jeffrey Ashkin are going to sideboard quickly here. So talking about the games going forward, Dylan Donegan, first of all on his side, has more ways, I guess, to manage creatures. We see cards like Quarantine Field, Radiant Flames, and extra Fumigate. I would think he wants some of these, but he still needs to respect the combo.
Yeah, you can't tap too low and just get yourself comboed. The Fumigate seems stronger than the Radiant Flame seems stronger than the Fumigate for that reason. And there's also everything in Ashkin's deck is going to be small enough to get hit by the Radiant Flames.
Yeah, so that seems nice. And when you look at Ashkin's side, there's some concern in that he actually has no copies of a card like Negate. It's Fumigates of his own, Dispel, Fragmentize, a lot of different Planeswalkers.
Dispel is nice. It can protect his combo when he goes for it, but he doesn't have a lot of copies. And if Dylan is just passing turn and has a lot of mana up, it's going to be very difficult to convert on that one. It's super efficient, and if Jeffrey's able to get an early advantage, come out of the gates with Servant of the Conduit, Rogue Refiner, it's a lot easier to leverage your mana once you're already pressuring Dylan's life total.
All right, so Dylan Donegan, 1 game away from becoming the 2nd champion here of 2017. But the next stop on the SCG Tour is in Baltimore. That's going to be in 3 weeks, and it is our first team open ever. We'll tell you some more about it. The team open in Baltimore, 3-player event, 1 person on each format here, Legacy, Modern, and Standard. Already a lot of buzz at it, hearing different teams forming for the event.
Yeah, really excited about this tournament. It's really awesome just playing on a team event. You know, you win and you lose with your friends.
I like it because then when I do poorly, I can blame it on other people. It's never my fault that I've lost a team event in any of the ones I've ever played. I'm gonna stand by that. I just need to find better teammates.
I actually have not played any 3-person team events.
I haven't. My favorite ones have been the team sealed Grand Prix. I usually show up for those. I mean, it's a great reason to go hang out. I think my best memories of team sealed events have never actually been me playing Magic. It's been me not playing Magic and just having a good weekend.
Sure. Team sealed's tough for me. My approach to limited generally differs from a lot of people's. Valuations skew up and down one way or the other.
Okay, and then you just get to yell at them all day. You can just disagree, and it just keeps happening.
So, like, my behavior is way more negative than that. I tell them to do whatever they want, and then they build a deck, and then I get mad at them if I lose with them.
Okay.
It's just really no way to go through life.
You just quietly judge them and then walk away saying, I'm not going to play that team with that team again.
You want to put that card in that deck, that's your call.
The true Midwestern approach.
I'm going to be over here eating casserole, or hot dish as we call it.
I'm like, what's a casserole? Come on now. Remember, we are in our finals here, though. Players with known information on sideboarding. So when Dylan knows there's not actually, like, Ashkin's deck, you can look at his sideboard. He's got 2 Dispels, but it's just 3 Harness Lightning in the main. No additional removal out of the sideboard. No negates out of the sideboard. Outside of these 2 Implements and 3 Harness Lightnings, Jeffrey Ashkin doesn't have any ways to just stop Dylan from jamming the combo.
Yeah, his deck is a lot more focused on going off himself.
And if that's the case, I think Dylan, now that he knows that that's the situation, can really make the most of it.
The implement of combustion technology against the combo is pretty significant, though.
I do like that, yeah.
It comes down on 1, and it takes a heavy mana investment plus disallow to be able to get around it.
So at first, I thought this implement of combustion was better than the authority of the consoles we saw. Because I said, hey, you can cycle it. And that makes it a pretty nice card. Now, there is a thing, though, in this matchup. I don't think Jeffrey's ever going to cycle the card.
No.
So if that's the case, this is a downgrade in this matchup. You know, if that was authority of the consoles, I know that card's very narrow, but Jeffrey wouldn't have lost that game.
A lot of players are casting Nahiri the Harbinger this weekend, which is a way to deal with authority of the consoles. There is a Nahiri in Dylan's main deck and a second on the sideboard. That can't solve the implement, which is significant.
Okay, so I guess we're trading a 4-mana answer for a 3-mana answer. Maybe it's not that good.
Mm-hmm. You know, the fact that the disallow has to be on a stack where that's the only thing that matters, that is something as well, whereas then here you just cast it on 4, exile the thing, and move on with your life.
Implement that, yeah. I suppose in Matt, the reason you'd like implement, if you're going to play one in the main, maybe that's more acceptable. There certainly are matchups where you're just going to cycle that thing away the whole time. You know, and that's something, because it's a colorless card, you have access to it in other decks. So we had a deck tech this weekend with the Jeskai Metalwork Colossus deck, also playing Implement of Combustion to try to gain some value against the Saheeli Rai combo.
It's like a Lotus Petal for your Colossus.
See, it's not going to work, though, if you're playing against... we had Bradley, our #1 seed, whose combo is just make more Gear Hulks. Yeah, that's how he plays the deck.
The Torrential Gear Hulk combo is a bit stronger against Implemented Combustion.
Brad Shepard, I like that combo. Just my combos, I make a lot of Gear Hulks. Just a lot. All right, we are underway. The second game is going to be Ashkin trying to even up the score against Dylan Donegan, and jumps out on the play with a turn 2 Servant of the Conduit. We did see cards like Rogue Refiner doing a lot of value. Now, Jeffrey will need to watch out, because now that we're in a post-board game, you can spy over in Dylan's hand. He's got Radiant Flames in the opener.
Yeah, gotta pay some mind to that one. If your second creature is just a Rogue Refiner, replaces itself, or if you just cast a Felidar Guardian, Felidar Guardian, it has 4 toughness.
Cast Felidar Sovereign.
If you cast Felidar Sovereign, it takes 2 Radiant Flames to deal with it.
Dylan's nowhere near that. Felidar Guardian is going to be the play. Enters the battlefield. It's going to target Oath of Nissa. I love that part of this deck, where your Guardian, you're normally pretty mediocre 1/4. We saw early this tournament Dan Jessup playing this deck, kind of paying a price here. He wasn't on Oath of Nissas, and his Felidar Guardians are pretty uncastable outside the combo.
Yeah, Guardian Oath of Nissa is a pretty significant interaction to have in these decks.
Back over to Jeffrey Ashkin. You see, yeah, Dylan, that turn, having mana available for Radiant Flames, not going for it. Also note, he only has single blue, so there's no disallow that Ashkin has to worry about yet.
Mm-hmm.
And for Ashkin, he'll start an attack, then cast Nahiri. Interestingly, he left up this Servant of the Conduit, which means when that you should read him for having this Dispel.
Yeah.
He did not attack for 2. So Donegan attempts to negate the Planeswalker, but Ashkin is ready with the Dispel. I'm not sure even if Donegan could have the read, right? There's a dispel. I don't know if that changes his play.
No, and honestly, casting this post-combat where potentially you could cast Nahiri and be able to attack with the Servant of the Conduit.
If there was no negate, then you could swing the damage.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah, in some ways it reads like a bluff for that reason.
So it makes you more likely to want to counter it.
Right.
Ether Hub and Energy for Donegan. We see another swing of just Felidar Guardian. So Jeffrey really playing it close with the mana.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you have to remember, though, Ashkin has no protection against the combo. So if Dylan gets to turn 6, it's just ready, set, go.
Donegan does also have Spell Quellers in his sideboard, so attacking Servant into Spell Queller would not be a great outcome.
What Ashkin will do, though, is play Cloud Blazer up to 22, drawing 2 more cards, hoping to find something like Implement of Combustion before Donegan gets up to 6.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll have a lot of looks. Draws 2, discards a Forest to draw using Nahiri. Land and go. And we've seen a lot from Jeskai. He'll just counter with a Glimmer. Now, when Jeffrey gets up to 8 with the Nahiri, he has a lot of different options here for a creature if he wants to get one.
Mm-hmm. The biggest creature he actually has access to is a second Cloud Blazer, but it does represent an on-the-board way-defined Felidar Guardian.
Dylan Donegan's going to cast Quarantine Field. He wants to get Nahiri off that board before an ultimate could happen. And then just says go. Still setting up for Radiant Flames, but one of the things is that Ashkin's creatures all replace themselves. It's even if Dylan gets a 3-for-1, it's not like he's getting extra cards right now.
And Dylan's tapped low here. Felidar Guardian is on play. Do we have a Saheeli?
Saheeli Rise to play from Ashkin. 1 mana available from Dylan. Yeah, he does not have an answer. And the combo will succeed. Ashkin evens things up.
Yeah, Ashkin was just able to leverage his Planeswalkers very effectively in that game. Checked the first one for a negate, and Donegan just kind of fell behind and stayed behind.
Well, yeah, and this is something, you know, Jeskai's cards are powerful, but one weakness here, I think, a place you can attack the Saheeli deck is when you look at the way it curves out, it really doesn't do much on turns 1, 2, 3. It's And there when Ashkin on the play, I think, had a turn 2 mana creature and then accelerates into a play, into another one, I didn't feel that Dylan had many ways to answer.
Right, and so Quarantine Field is a card that scales very well, but in terms of just exiling 1 permanent, it's no Oblivion Ring.
All right, players are going to get ready for a third and final game here this weekend. Now remember, next weekend we have Magic of all sorts, Standard and Modern. That's because it's going to be the weekend of SCG Regionals. The Season 1 Championships, these are February 4th. This is going to be Modern this weekend. So you get a free exclusive playmat and token to the first 200 players at each location. We have our custom playmat here that's going to be available. So those are in limited supply, so make sure that you register. Well, the registration should be open most places today. You'll also get the Wolf token for showing up as a 2/2 custom token featuring the same art. And this, as part of the SCG Tour, we of course have qualifications and points available for playing in it. So up to 20 points for winning the tournament and $1,200, including an invite to our next invitational that's at the end of June to everybody making the top 8 of the event. Now you can find locations near you. These are the list of stores around the country where these are happening. We see 12 in total. The list and locations are available also at starcitygames.com/regionals. So get ready to battle next week. That's February 4th. That's going to be Modern.
I'm pretty excited to play this tournament. Got a couple Modern decks I'm looking
You're
at.
going to play Grixis.
One should surprise no one. Yeah, I got Grixis Delver. I think that's deck's still pretty good. And I'm experimenting with the Burning Tree Emissary Hidden Herbalist deck.
Okay, so we just have lots of Burning Tree Emissaries.
Exactly. So if you have Herbalist, any number of Herbalist and at least 1 Burning Tree Emissary, it's just like having more Burning Tree Emissaries, and you can Bushwhacker with all of them on turn 2. As long as you have a fetch land to enable Revolt.
How many Bushwhackers? Just Reckless or Goblin?
Just the good one.
Okay.
I mean, really, Goblin Bushwhacker should be the one called Reckless Bushwhacker, because playing that card is pretty reckless.
They should really be switching names here.
Yeah, Reckless Bushwhacker is just in every way a better card, and the mana just works out better. Double red is a problem.
Yeah.
And then play some Gorklan Rampagers,
I like that card.
so you don't just lose to Tarmogoyf.
Well, you also now have what Narnum Renegade as a possible 1-drop, right?
Yep. Yeah, so now that the green is heavier in the deck, I've been playing 21 drops. 12 of them are green.
Okay. So Experiment 1, Wild Cattle, Curd Ape, Narnam Renegade, Goblin Guide. There we go. Got there.
Deck's sweet. The games go fast.
I can't imagine you're playing more than 15 minutes of Magic per round.
A lot of time for snacks.
You get to see. When I play a deck like that, then what you have to do is you got to bring another game with you so you can play that game when you're not playing Magic.
The game is called How Many Burgers Can We Eat Today?
Oh man, that game. That's a bad game. I don't want to play that one. Not if I'm playing that deck. It's too many burgers. This time it will be Ashkin on the mulligan. Dylan taking one game 1. It's gonna be Jeffrey taking one game 3.
I really I don't like playing games between rounds at a tournament. It kind of exhausts me.
I like it when the games are silly. You know, like go like bring like a Jenga between rounds. You know, there you go. Just set it up.
Yeah, frequently the game I play between rounds is eat half a Cliff Bar, stare into nothing.
That's
It's not the most fun game. I'm gonna throw that out there. It's not the most fun game.
Well, you can only play it twice unless after the third time you gotta get a second Cliff Bar.
They come in packs of 6. You
All right.
play a lot of rounds.
15. So over the weekend, yeah. Unless if you don't day 2, it's fine. And we're underway game 3. Dylan Donegan starts out. Port Town. Jeffrey keeping on 6. And much like his game 1 hand, Dylan's hand, a lot of lands and Anticipate and a Saheeli Rai. These kind of hands, which, you know, you don't. I guess they're pretty good for the deck, right? If Anticipate finds Felidar Guardian, he could win on turn 4. Could be a very fast finals. Jeffrey hasn't played an Implement yet.
Yeah, he did lead on Evolving Wild, so hasn't had the shot just yet.
This 4-color Saheeli deck is not very resilient to the combo, and definitely can't race it.
Yeah, and the counter spells that Ashkin has access to are dispels that counters neither half of the combo.
Oath of Nissa from Ashkin, that'll resolve. Finding Inspiring Vantage. So colors are online, Botanical Sanctum and Vantage, and here we go for Ashkin. It is the Implement of Combustion, so he's safe from a turn 4 kill. See, in Anticipate from Donegan, seeing Saheeli Rai disallow. Gets to pick here. His hand has a Spell Queller and a Saheeli Rai in it and some lands, so figuring out the best way to put these pieces together. Looks like he takes Disallow, draws a land. It's Ether Hub for Donegan, now representing Queller mana, but it's going to be Saheeli Rai that he goes with. Get the Planeswalker down, and he'll start scrying.
And casting Saheeli this turn forces Jeffrey to leave up red mana on his next turn, meaning unlikely to do very much, if anything, meaning next turn he'll have access to Spell Queller.
Yeah, I mean, Saheeli Rai's not a very impressive Planeswalker, but when it's also Stone Rain, which the 3 mana is a pretty good comparison, then yeah, I'm pretty into it. Second Oath of Nissa from Ashkin. He does have cards to play, but has nothing on the board just yet. And this is some of that bind that we see Saheeli putting other decks in. Or you just can't really spend your mana. Or you can, but you're just always taking a risk if you want to.
Right.
A+ on Saheeli Rai. Dylan will play Needle Spires and pass, picking up a Torrential Gearhulk that turn.
And now he's going to sit back on his counter spells, make land drops until he's in Gearhulk range, and really change the texture of this game.
Judge just helping out here. Jeffrey accidentally knocking the top card of his deck, seeing one that he isn't. So the judge is going to put these 4 cards on the bottom of the deck that were known, or rather the 2 that were known. It should be 4. He should know the bottom. Yeah. That's it. So you leave those there. Shuffles the rest of the deck.
Yep. Evolving Wilds was the first land. Both Ultimistas happened after that. Yeah, so right now, the Implemented Combustion, it stops Dylan from just going for a very aggressive combo. As the game progresses, Dylan's building toward both having disallowed a fight over that or just starting to cast Torrential Gearhulk.
Yeah, and that's what, right. So he can fight over it or, yeah, getting Gearhulk and starting to copy Gearhulk with Saheeli Rai. It's not clear that Jeffrey can beat that. Saheeli Rai of his own and Dylan just very quick with a Spell Queller on that. Now I guess we'll see whether or not Jeffrey has kept in his deck cards like Harness Lightning.
And Dylan has a good number of ways to interact with that one, even if it is there.
A swing for 2 from Spell Queller takes Ashkin down to 15, a 5th land from Donegan, and he passes back. Just in full control here, not letting Jeffrey land any threats on the board.
And Dylan now 5 lands on the battlefield. He has a 6th land drop already locked up, a basic islands hanging out in his hand. We're about to enter the Torrential Gearhulk phase of the game.
Yeah, 1 turn away. That card's just looked phenomenal this weekend. Jeffrey's going to try for another Saheeli Rai. That will be disallowed by Donegan. And now draws another Spell Queller. Still keeping the board completely clear. Yeah, I mean, we might talk about entering the spot where you just use Saheeli Rai's ultimate to go get a Gearhulk, if you don't already have one. I mean, Ashkin's down to 12. I don't think the combo is necessary.
2 more pluses on Saheeli plus 2 hits from a Gearhulk. Or, the Spell Queller is still connecting as well.
Yeah, those ones from the Saheeli are adding up. She's dealt 4 damage plus 2 hits from Queller. That's where you get Ashkin down to 12.
And against the other builds of Jeskai Saheeli, where your opponent has a good number of counter spells, you have to have some hesitation about just casting Torrential Gearhulk when you have 6 mana up. Against the 4-colored Saheeli deck, you can just kind of cast it.
And this might just be the end. We go into Jeffrey's turn. He did not cast anything. On end step, Dylan Donegan goes for Torrential Gearhulk, resolves, flashes back, anticipate, casts that.
He has Disallow Spell Queller. If he -2s the Saheeli, he has a lethal attack this turn.
Yeah, he has a lethal attack with double counterspell backup. He could go for it now. He could go for it next turn. It may not matter. Ashkin is down to 5.
Hard to imagine him losing the game from this spot.
I think he's now. Maybe he could have gone for lethal. It doesn't really matter. He's going to ultimate Saheeli Rai to go get another Gearhulk just as a 5/6. Sure. You could have one with haste, or you could just have a permanent one for next turn. Both of them should be good enough. Dylan's going to threaten lethal with double counterspell backup, and that should just about do it. Ashkin putting up quite the fight. He's gone to 3 in all matches here in the top 8, with some narrow wins each time, but the luck may have run out here for Jeffrey Ashkin. He'll Harness Lightning a Spell Queller, trying to get his Saheeli Rai back. We'll try to combo off it. You see he gets his Planeswalker, and the patience from Dylan here should be concerning, right? He had 2 counters and just said, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, if Jeffrey just cast a Felidar Guardian here, Dylan has that covered twice over.
You would need, there's just no combination. If Jeffrey makes any play to kill either of these Gearhulks, Dylan's at the ready with the counter. And Jeffrey would have to have 3 spells for one of them to resolve, and off 4 mana, even 5 with the land drop, he just doesn't have cards that can do that. And we see a plus on Saheeli Rai. Scries to the bottom. Just going to confirm it here. This is the last turn from Jeffrey. He's going to go for the combo, and Spell Queller there from Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan having none of that.
And that should do it. And it is Dylan Donegan taking game 3, and he is your Richmond Open champion.